Hello everybody, MightyNifty here, and today we're going to be making edible arrangements. What better gift for Mother's Day than a delicious fresh bouquet of fruits and chocolate? Not to mention it's a hell of a lot cheaper than the ones you'll find online, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's get started. First off, we need a base to put all of our fruit into. So here I've got a small plastic flower pot and some garden foam. You can use whatever kind of foam you can find, but the goal here is to have a nice snug fit inside the pot. So I lined mine up with the inner rim and marked where to cut. Then, using a knife that I rarely ever use, I sliced my cone at the mark, and then I took the upper part and cut that in half both lengthwise and widthwise to get 4 small pieces. Now, inside the pot, I have my large cone base around which I'll add in my 4 smaller foam pieces until everything is nice and snug. This will make it so our skewers don't slide around when putting them into the pot. And now we're on to the fruit. And honestly, it's completely up to you which fruit you add in here and how you present them. The key is to have a decent variety of both flavors and textures. I started mine out with skinning some kiwis by cutting off the tops and bottoms and slicing around the outside. Then I sliced them into nice, neat little slices and set them aside. Next up is one of the more popular fruits in these bouquets, the strawberries. For these, I rinsed them all off and then just cut the tops off one at a time. Then, to keep them from getting soggy, I dried them off between a couple of paper towels and put them away too. Up next are the melons, and here I have an Asian melon with a green inside. I can't remember the name, but you can just use Honeydew. So I cut that and a cantaloupe in half and scooped out their seeds. Now for each half of the quote-unquote honeydew, place the flat side down on the cutting board and slice off the skin, being careful not to cut through the center of the melon. Once my mystery melon was naked, I cut it in half, flipped it over, and cut out 4 thin wedges in each half. Now the cantaloupe is a bit different. For this fruit, I wanted to make a center to use in some flower-shaped pineapple slices, so I used an ice cream scoop to pop out spheres of melon to put in the center. Personally, I'd recommend using a smaller scoop than I did for this, as mine was too big to get much more than half circles most tries, but at the end I had a decent number of balls ready to go. With the other half, I just cut it into wedges similar to the honey don't and put everything away. Next, I took a pineapple, cut off the top and bottom to keep it sturdy, and cut the skin off just like with the kiwi. Once the skin was gone, I gave it one more quality check and cut off any of the brown circles around the outside, and then cut half of the fruit into slices. I then tried to make a flower shape out of the fruit by slicing a curve in one direction and matching it up with a curve in the other direction 5 separate times around the outside. I'm not very artistically gifted, so if you're like me, I recommend getting a flower-shaped cookie cutter for this part. Once the shape is formed, this log gets sliced up too, and everything is set aside. Now I've got a mango, and I'm just going to peel this by cutting around the inside stone from the top and on the sides, then carefully slicing the skin away from the fruit the way you see me doing here. Some pieces came out thinner than others, but we'll have a good use for everything, don't worry. And if you don't, just eat it. And now it's time to finally assemble the fresh fruit portions of our arrangement and skewer everything. First up, I took the pineapple flowers and popped a cantaloupe ball onto each of them, then stuck the skewer through the pineapple and halfway through the melon to make sure it didn't go through all the way and pop out the top. Now the flowers are done and can be thrown into the fridge until they're needed. Up next is the melon wedges. I took my skewers and stuck them through the slices one at a time, starting from the bottom and going as far as possible to the top without going through. The important thing here is to stick the skewer in parallel with the top of the arc in the crescent so that when the arrangement is being assembled, the curves point upward instead of inward. Oh, and I only did this for the second arrangement I made, but you're going to want to cut the bottom tips off of the melons to leave room for more skewers on the inside when arranging everything together. For the mango and kiwi, I just had some fun and made a few different compositions of the fruit. Nothing too fancy, just some spears with mango at the top and others topped with kiwi. Then I moved on to the final fruit and peeled a couple of bananas which I set aside for dipping in some chocolate. So here I have 2 bowls into which I threw a couple of different kinds of chocolate. Typically I'd recommend 1 dark chocolate and 1 white chocolate, but Trader Joe's was out of white this week, so I got green tea chocolate instead. Break each kind into its own bowl, and then throw it in the microwave until most of the bar is melted. Stir it up to melt the rest, and you're ready to begin dipping. In addition to keeping it from getting soggy, another reason for drying the fruit was to make sure the chocolate could stick, so I started off by drying out the pineapple circles with paper towels, similar to how I did with the strawberries, and then I made a pineapple strawberry stick, similar to the flowers from earlier. Then I took each of my strawberries and skewered them up on their own to prep them for dipping as well. Now when it comes to dipping, you could always place the fruit on a wire rack when you're done, but you run the risk of the chocolate peeling away when dry. So what I did was I took a colander and stuck the finished fruit in there instead. Starting off with the bananas, I put them each on their own stick, then just rotated them around until completely coated. If an area is being a bit stubborn, just use a spoon to get the chocolate on. With the bananas done, I took half of the strawberries and dipped those in as well. The other half I left fresh for variety's sake. To dip the strawberries, I held the bottoms with my finger and dipped in just the tops. The difference here is that unlike the bananas, I didn't let the excess run off back into the bowl and instead just let it drip to create a smooth, silky chocolate effect. Lastly, I took the pineapple strawberry sticks and used the spoon to coat half of each of these in chocolate as well. I let these cool off until dry in the kitchen, and then I popped them onto a plate in the fridge overnight. The next day, I took the melted green tea chocolate and used a spoon to drip it on. It was a bit more swamp green than I was hoping, but it did taste pretty damn good, so I don't think it's too bad. I then let everything chill until final assembly. Oh, and I also took the excess chocolate of each flavor and placed it on a plate with some walnuts inside a circular cutter to create little candy ovals that tasted great as well. It's just a really nice use for the extra chocolate. At the end of day 2, I started to create the arrangement. With a decent pair of scissors, I cut each skewer so that when stuck into the pot, everything was at the right height. I stuck each skewer in one at a time, trying my best to prevent any of the sticks from being visible to the outside. Once everything was stuck in, I took some lettuce leaves and used them around the outside in the bottom perimeter to cover up those last few skewers to make a nice plant-like appearance. And there they are, 2 beautiful and delicious arrangements just begging to be given to the most important woman in each of our lives. Before I finish this up, I did want to mention 2 things really quick. First, you probably noticed all of the skewers poking through the tops of some of the fruit. This won't happen if you skewer with the flat end instead, unlike me. But hey, it's all a learning experience. Second, here is the purchase page for the cheapest arrangement available from the official Edible Arrangements website. $40 without shipping or special add-ons for 1 arrangement, while these nifty pots cost only $19 each, plus enough leftover fruit to make 2 fruit salads for breakfast. Not to mention, these can be customized any way you want. Of course, the ones online do look a lot neater than mine, but I'm not particularly aesthetically gifted, so if you make this at home, share a picture with me on Twitter to show me exactly how it's done. But in the end, I hope you all enjoyed this recipe. The ingredient list is in the description box down below. Be sure to leave a comment to let me know what recipes you want to see next. Subscribe for more nifty recipes, like and share this video to spread the love, and as always, have a mighty nifty day today.